So we left off yesterday with the victory stele. We had Sargon here really ruining that guy's day. This guy begging to not have his day ruined. All right. So we have the Hammurabi and the Babylonian Empire. So you're going to see Babylon, you're going to see Babylonia. They are all the same. Now, what I do not want to hear, I do not want to hear someone say Babylon. No, it's Babylon. Please, no Babylon. Oh, it makes me go crazy. But anyways, so Babylon or Babylonia is going to be the next empire. They are going to overthrow the Akkadians. And the most important ruler for the Babylonians, much like we only really talk about Sargon for the Akkadians, we have Hammurabi. Here we see Hammurabi without his nose. And here we see him on a fancy chair. And he is famous because he had Hammurabi's code. Now, Hammurabi's code is not the first written law code. Some sources will say Hammurabi's code, the first written. It's not really the first. It is one of the first. It's probably the second or third. But what makes Hammurabi's code so important is that although we found older law codes written down, his was everywhere. Throughout the entire Babylonian Empire, his laws stood. And they were the same everywhere. And that is something really, really important, that in this whole area, no matter where you were, you had the same laws. For example, in the United States, we have 50 states, and states are allowed to have different laws. Some states, you are allowed to make a right turn on a red light in many situations. Emmy, please take that back like a little bit further away so that I don't hear that and my students don't hear that. So why don't you do it on the floor over there, okay, Pumpkin, or over in that room? All right. Sorry about that. Now, some states you can take a right on red. Some states you can't take a right on red. So whenever Mr. Kenny is on a vacation or a trip, he gets nervous taking a right on red, even though it usually makes sense. It is usually fine. He doesn't know. Am I going to get pulled over for a ticket? Don't know. Now, Babylon is going to be incredibly wealthy because they are going to have so many trade routes throughout their city. Now, you're going to have roads, and all of the roads are going to very smartly make sure the caravans go through the city of Babylon. So that when merchant Ivan goes through, he's like, oh, well, I might as well sell some stuff here. And Cortez is like, well, I might as well sell some stuff while I'm on the way. And they make lots and lots of moolah, the merchants do. And Babylon, of course, charges a little bit of tax. So Babylon makes lots and lots of moolah. It's a win-win situation. Because even for the people, because Alexander and Eker know they can go to Babylon and get the products that they want. So it is fantastic. Oh, yeah. Now, here we see the first incarnation of the Babylonian Empire. It starts off small. But as we see, it's going to wind up growing quite a bit. Once again, covering Mesopotamia. And we see in here it was in Mesopotamia, centered around the city of Babylon. And we're going to see it's going to go north of the Tigris River some as well. The Babylonians did a ton of math. Check out the geometry, folks. Oh, yeah. And we still see that they're using cuneiform. One of the things that's really cool about our Mesopotamian empires is that despite different groups ruling and even different languages becoming dominant, they kept the cuneiform and the writing throughout the whole thing. So we're able to have a lot of records and read this stuff. And here's how to do Babylonian numbers. Oh, boy. Now, their number system was interestingly based off of 60. We have a base 10 number system. The Babylonians used a base 60. Cool, huh? And 660s would be 360 to go with the circle. Don't worry, I'm not going to test you on how to do Babylonian math. Although maybe I should give this to Miss Carol and have her have you guys do some Babylonian math. But here we get to the pièce de résistance, the most important part for today, where we have Hammurabi's Code. Eager doesn't like that idea. And like I said, it's one of the first written law codes. It consisted of 282 laws. And what they did is they wrote steles all over the empire. And each city, they would go and have this. Okay? Emmy, why don't you dump out all of those toys so you can stop making all that racket and rustling, because it's really disturbing me and my students. Thanks. She's playing with her doctor set and is like individually digging for each and every item, and it's driving me bonkers. Now, these steles in every town or city square, we're going to have these laws written down. Now, most people couldn't read. Only the scribes could read, but they saw the laws there and they said there is no excuse for you not to follow the law. So the laws were the same in every city in the Babylonian Empire, and this is going to add great consistency. And these laws were about all sorts of things. Farming, about doing crime, business, marriage, family. Some of the earliest instances of girls getting rights. And you've probably heard this before, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Yeah, that comes from Hammurabi. He's the guy who invented that idea. The problem is if you're always taking out eyes and teeth, you're going to have a lot of people with, no eyes and no teeth. But the idea, and I believe it was Evelyn said this during our homework time going over that the punishment was supposed to fit the crime. This idea that if you do something, your punishment has to go with it. So, for example, if we had, Eliza go crazy and try to kill her, brother Henry because Henry's just so cool or something like that, her punishment would be execution. If, Cortez decides he really, 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 really wants to get an Xbox Series X and then steals it from Walmart, his punishment would be having his hand removed so he could not steal. That's literally what I just said. Robbing, stealing, same stuff. So, here's what we are going to do. I am going to read to you a crime. And in the chat, I would like you to type in what you think the punishment should be. So, what should be done to a carpenter who builds a house that falls and kills the owner? What do you think is the punishment going to be? So everyone who would like to participate, please type in what they think their punishment should be in the chat, and then we'll see what Hammurabi's code said. Whoa. Man, you guys are harsh. Don't want to follow Riley's laws. So let's see what Hammurabi said. If a builder builds a house for a man that does not make its construction sound, and the house which he has built collapses and causes the death of the owner of the house, the builder shall be put to death. So you are correct. The punishment fit the crime. He built a bad house, and now, dunzo. Let's check out this next one. What happens if a man is unable to pay his debt? Meaning, he cannot pay his debt. So type in the chat what you think. And debt is when you owe money. So like if Ivan went to the store and bought like 13 PS5s and 13 Xbox Series X's, and then for funsies, 5 Series S's, all that stuff. What do we think should be? All right, we got jail, no money. One person said death. Take all your land. Wowzers. Yeesh, capiche. So this one might surprise you. If a man be in debt and is unable to pay his creditors, he shall sell his wife, son, or daughter, or bind them over to service. For 3 years they shall work in the house of their purchaser or master. In the 4th year they shall be given freedom. So actually nothing happens to the guy. Right? Yeah. Yowzers.
That is unfair.
Yeah.
That's
That is unfair. I never want to live in the old days.
Yeah. I agree.
Especially because I'm a girl.
Okay. Next, what should happen to a boy who slaps his father? What should happen to a boy that's if they get slapped? That would be the most fair, huh? Oh, Kirthana, are you going and looking ahead? Yes. If a son strikes his father, his hand shall be cut off. Yowzers, right?
That might be worse than getting whipped. No, maybe.
What
Those
if-
are both pretty
Person
bad.
slap their teacher or their mom or their sibling.
I'd be similar, I think. Good. All right. How is the truth turned when one man brings an accusation against another? Oh, I love this one. Exactly. So he can't slap, Alexander. You're right. Yowzers. Ooh, this one's kind of funny. So, let's say Evelyn brings an accusation against Riley O. She says, Riley O ate my cupcake. I left the room, and then she ate my cupcake. And then Riley O says, I didn't eat the cupcake. A mouse came and ate it. So, what is going to happen then? The accused person, so Riley O would have to leap into a river. Now, if Riley O sinks, Evelyn gets Riley's house. But if Riley O does not sink and is able to swim to shore, then Evelyn gets executed. And now, this seems kind of wild, right? And the main thing is most people couldn't swim back then, so they really thought it was up to the gods whether you survived this or not. Pretty crazy, huh? Yeah, I know, right?
It's close enough
Anyway.
to fight to the death.
No. You just
That's how swimming was made.
dump them in the water. It's so weird. So you don't want them to try to see if you are...
I'm on a swim team.
Okay, my chair.
I'm on Frederick area swim team. What do you...
Most people couldn't swim back then. So that is our notes for the day. I'm going to stop the recording.